Thank God it's Friday. A lot of people say when Friday rolls in, it's the 11th day of April already. Welcome to the press. Welcome to Kaftan Television. We are reaching you live. We're streaming live from our studios over here in Abuja, and it's a beautiful, sunny, blessed day. My name is NIGCOMSAT. I'm bringing you the press this morning, and it's a pleasure that you are there. This program is designed specially for you, and we have a lot of interesting topics to tackle this morning. But like we always do, we're going to start from weather to newspaper covers, then interview. Now, for the weather segment, everything is going to be merged because I had a look at this morning's dailies, and they're all giving a warning from NIMET about a flood, upcoming flood. In fact, the Federal Capital Territory is also one of those involved. So let's just take the newspapers and merge it together with the weather so that we'll see that report and also mention the affected states. So it's on that note then, let me just start right away with the Punch newspapers this morning. Looking at the front page of the Punch this morning, it says here, let me start from above the masthead. Federal government alert, 30 states rush to avert flood crisis. 30 states out of 36 rushing to avoid flood crisis. Like I said earlier, the FCT is one of those on red alert. Let's see other stories above the masthead. Federal character controversy over Tinubu's appointments widen. Ambassadorial list ready for NAS review after DSS clearance. Those stories are on page 2. Beside the masthead, we have lynched travelers, federal government, Edo raised joint probe panel, Kano delegation arrives Benin. Still, page 2. There's a picture story there of lots and lots of people. We have at the center of it the representative of President Tinubu in the person of the SGF, Senator George Akume, and they are commissioning this Afrexim Bank African Center in Abuja. So those are all officials of the bank right there. Right below the picture story, we have some other stories. PMAN folds NBC ban on Idris Abdul Karim's anti-Tinubu song. Police to recover 21 AK-47 rifles, rescue 17 kidnapped victims. And truck driver arrested for killing Ogun Polytechnic student. Very sad to hear. All right, their banner headline, though, says marketers predict cheaper petrol nationwide as Dangote begins Naira sale, which means this Naira crude for dollar, crude for Naira, I guess, has been resolved. The writer says right here, refinery slashes loading cost to 865 Naira after Naira for crude deal, fuel depot prices to fall. Cheery news. Good to hear. Okay, from the Punch, let's take a look at the front cover of the Blueprint newspaper this morning. The Blueprint is also giving that weather warning. So it says here, BENUE, Lagos, Rivers, Jigawa, FCT, 26 other states at high risk. That's talking about the 2025 flood forecast. 3 riders here. Coastal states may experience rising sea levels. You know, with the change in global warming and climate change, the sea levels are rising, not only in Nigeria, but globally. We also have here federal government to commence pilot insurance scheme for Kogi and Jigawa. HHPY-ADEC awards 600 million Naira contract for Muye flood control project. Okay, so the contract is just being awarded even as the floods are already upon us. Isn't that very good planning? Nigeria, we're heading. We have other stories here. JAM vows to punish 180 candidates who paid 30,000 Naira each to cheat. JAM is going to punish you for paying money to cheat in the JAM exams. That story is on page 14. Very shameful. CBN's PMI rises to 51.4% in March 2025. Dangote refinery slashes petrol price to 865 naira per litre. Well, that's offloading, so let's pray and hope and believe that the price slash will also come to us, the commuters. Alleged assassination plot. Akpabio petitions IG, demands Natasha's prosecution. Akpabio and Natasha still in the news. So much for the blueprint, and we've done the punch. Let's go over and see what The Guardian is leading for us this morning. The Guardian newspapers is talking about how Yakubu laments flawed democracies, hints of exit at ECOWAS parley. Which Yakubu? Well, we're talking about Mahmoud Yakubu, Nigeria's INEC chairman. Well, if Nigeria's INEC chairman is the one lamenting about flawed democracy, then who are we? That means everybody's right saying our democracy is flawed then, if you INEC chairman are saying it. That story is on page 5, page 6. Find out all the details of what Mahmoud Yakubu said. 2027 already in the news. PDP governors meet. SDP rejects merger talks. So the People's Democratic Party governors are meeting, but the SDP is rejecting any merger talks with them. Lagos, Rivers, 28 others to experience heavy flooding. Federal government warns. That warning coming again. The same picture story of the opening of that Afrexim Bank structure, where you have again the representative of the president, Senator George Akume, cutting the tape to declare the building open. INEC finds NERC finds 8 discos, 628 million naira for overbilling customers. Hey, the customers are in hell now, because that means they'll find a way to take that money right back from the customers. Dangote cuts petrol price to 865 naira as federal government backs naira for crude deal. So that's as much as we have on The Guardian this morning. Let's quickly go over today to the Daily Independent. The Daily Independent is taking an economic look as their cover. It says the $1 trillion economy target without energy security is a mirage, so say experts. So the Daily Independent is saying for you to target all this money and you don't have power, you don't have energy, you are not sure of your power supply, it's not going to happen. You find out all the details if you pick up a copy of this morning's Daily Independent. Daily Independent also has another picture story showing the Delta State governor receiving a delegation who are giving him a document. You want to pick up a copy of the paper to find out more. Presidency explores new ways to bring policies closer to grassroots. We have here Dangote refinery cuts petrol price to 865 naira per litre, page 7. Energy demand to surge over 25% by 2040. Ojulari, that's the NNPCL new boss revealing. Nice one, page 6. Rivers, still in the news. Dismantling democratic institutions embarrassing. Pandef tells IBAS. That's on page 7. We have here APM Terminals affirm commitment to $500 million investment in Nigerian ports, page 6. Court strikes out Nnamdi Kanu's 50 billion naira suit against the federal government. Find out all those details in today's Daily Independent. We have Rivers Sole Administrator under fire for appointing local government as administrators and others. Rivers Sole Administrator seemed to have defied the court order, went ahead, appointed these administrators, and it's bringing a lot of heat. NERC finds 8 discos, 628 million naira for breaching estimated billing cap. So these discos are going to be fined. They'll pay the fine by hitting on the poor masses. Do not say, I did not tell you. Because that's what is going to happen. All right, we've seen as much as we can take from the Daily Independent this morning. Let's look at This Nigeria this morning. This Nigeria is also giving that weather warning that's coming from NIMET, from the federal government. It says here, flooding, 30 states, FCT at risk, federal government alerts. The writer says 1,249 communities in 176 local government areas fall within the high-risk flood zones in 2025. So we in the FCT of 30 other states have to be very mindful and watchful for flash flooding. Dangote Refinery reduces petrol price to 865 naira per litre. You'll find that on page 12. Rivers crisis. Ex-Governor Ada George not speaking like an elder, says Wike's aide. Suit sacking Ibas suffers setback. You'll find those stories on pages 16, page 6 and page 14. Probe Akpoti Uduaghan's assassination allegation against me, Akpabio tells Inspector General of Police. All right. Let's leave this Nigeria and go over to First News. First News this morning is still talking about that weather and flood alert. Nigeria on flood alert. 30 states, FCT, face severe risk as 2025 rains loom. Presidency apologizes for errors in appointee list amid criticism. NBC slams Idris Abdul Karim's Tell Your Papa song. Dangote Refinery reduces petrol price to 865 naira per litre. That story in all the headlines this morning. Very good news for a change. China invests $329 million in Nigeria's power sector to enhance transmission capacity. Tackling poverty and unemployment, key to Nigeria's security challenges, says Adesina. And I would not agree more. Court dismisses 5 billion naira suit by 110 suspected internet fraudsters against the EFCC. The court also frees 12 IPOB members after 3 years in prison. Okay. That's as much as we're taking this morning from First News, but we must touch a bit about some of the stories here. You recall that Senator Ali Ndume, it was, who made an alert about the presidency's, the list, not just the list, but essentially appointments being given out by Nigeria's president, which he alleged were lopsided, and there was a lot of nepotism favoring a particular tribe. Now, the federal government, to counter that, released a list of appointments, and it was later discovered that that list was not comprehensive. Many names were omitted. So that's why you have here that presidency is apologizing for errors in appointees list amid the criticism that stemmed from the allegation by Senator Ali Ndume. Now, concerning this NBC slam, we discovered that Idris Abdul Karim, Nigeria Jaga Jaga, he released another one, and that one was called Tell Your Papa. Well, without being told, it was directed at President Bola Tinubu. Well, the telling was directed at President Bola Tinubu, and the person to be told was Sheyi Tinubu. And now the federal government is saying radio stations, television stations do not play that music. Well, we have P-Man saying, NBC, you are not right about putting that ban on that song. So let's see who is going to blink first concerning that. Well, we're still talking about this presidential list of appointments and appointees. You'll find that as the cover story this morning on today's Daily Trust newspapers. The Daily Trust is leading with this story: Tinubu's appointments, presidency's defense backfires. The presidency's defense of the appointments has backfired, retracts the published list. So the list has been taken back in order to make it more comprehensive, which means we are to look out for another complete list in the near future. Okay, there's a picture story there of a damaged building. Under it says 2024 flood victims still stranded. My goodness, as FG issues fresh alert. So if the ones in 2024 are stranded, what will happen to... Well, it is well. Zamfara, 26 other states, Adamawa, are all at risk, so says Minister. Let's go to just above the banner headline. 3 stories there. From my right to left, it says 2 weeks after FCT teachers, area council workers remain on strike. APC shuts headquarters as abducted director dies in captivity. Very sad to hear. You abduct people, they die in your captivity just because you want money. Many fear dead as passenger boat capsizes in Niger. Very sad stories. It pains me to even to talk about them. From Daily Trust, let us take a look at this morning's Tribune newspapers. The Tribune is talking political this morning, and PDP once again in the news. Yesterday it was, not just yesterday, beginning of the week, it was all about the crisis in the Labour Party. Today now we have the PDP leading in political stories on the Tribune. It says here, growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. The writers to those stories on the Tribune this morning, we have here, May INEC meeting in limbo. The May meeting in limbo. National leadership unable to meet. Unable to meet and unable to act. That's what it says here in the papers. Postpones North Central, South South, Southwest Congresses. So which of the Congresses did they hold? That's on page 15. And that's from Nigeria's supposedly main opposition. Dangote Refinery slashes ex-depot petrol price to 865 naira. All the newspapers are reporting that. We have a picture of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala with a WTO story there saying, WTO warns tariff war could cut US-China trade by 80% and pull down the world economy. That warning and the details of what she's saying, you'll find them on page 6. We have another story here under this picture story. It says Afenifere honors Adebanjo with symposium. So these are some of the people who attended the symposium. The only lady in the picture is actually Pa Adebanjo's first daughter. So she's with some other dignitaries who were there at the symposium, which the Afenifere held in his honor. Obi Oshuntoku, Bode George, Ezekwesili, Igodalo, others were in attendance. You'll find all the details on page 12. We have another story, and more stories indeed. Uromi killings. Federal government, Edo government set up fact-finding committee. Okay, other papers put it that Edo government and Kano State government set up the committee, but here we have it's that the federal government and Edo government set up fact-finding committee. Details are on page 13. NRC suspends Warri Itakpe train service over multiple engine failures. Page 5. Assassination allegation. Akpabio petitions AGF IGP demands Natasha's prosecution. It's on page 2. Fubara COS slams 2 billion naira libel suit on YK, former head of service, is on page 2. Remember that the former head of service came out in viral videos everywhere making strong allegations not only of corruption but also of attempted violence by the suspended River State Governor Similaye Fubara. Now we have the chief of staff to Fubara slamming him with a 2 billion naira libel suit for those allegations. We have here again the weather notice. Lagos, Oyo, Delta, Ogun, 29 other states at high risk of flooding. Federal government warns. It's on page 5 of this morning's Tribune. Our final story from the Nigerian Tribune, which will also be our final story on this segment, is that these attacks on Plateau communities ploy to wipe out indigenous settlements. So the Plateau State Governor is saying here, attacks on Plateau communities a ploy to wipe out indigenous settlements. Find that story on page 4 of this morning's Nigerian Tribune, and that would form the body of our discussion this morning, and we are expecting you to also participate. So what will happen now is that we'll take a very short break. When we come back, we're delving straight into the discussion segment, and after that you can participate. So just stay with us on Kaftan TV. Glad to know you're still there with us on Kaftan Television. And if you're just joining, you're right in time for the discussion segment. Here you have the press. And we're actually streaming live this morning to bring you all the details. And it's a pleasure to inform you that this morning I am being joined virtually by Nigeria's former Honorable Minister for Sports and Youth and Sports Development, in the person of Barrister Solomon Dalong. Honorable Minister, sir, you are welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to you, and good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on set this morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Clear.
Okay, we have the visuals on, but we seem not to be hearing ourselves. Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and
right.
Clear.
Good morning, morning. Okay, there's his trademark smile. You remember him? He was Nigeria's Minister for Youth and Sports Development. Right. Honorable Minister, sir, you are very welcome. This morning we want to take a look at this ugly problem of wanton killings, this carnage, how are we going to get out of the tide? First of all, we want to x-ray particularly Plateau State. In the news this morning, we had the governor of Plateau saying categorically that the killings are ethnic cleansing, trying to root out a particular community out of the surface of the earth in Nigeria. What's your take on the governor's assertion?
Well, I seem to agree with him that the killings on the Plateau is genocidal, but the question of ethnic cleansing may be an ulterior intention of the criminals. But I think what is playing out is that organized criminality, who are terrorists, and they are predominantly of an ethnic nationality in Nigeria, but that does not suggest that they are representing that ethnic nationality. They are only representing the criminal gangs. They are on a mission of genocidal killings, so as to eliminate ethnic populations and allow them access to the rich mineral deposits of their lands, so that they can grab the lands and then their sponsors will exploit these resources. That is what, in my mind, is playing out. But all other explanation, as the governor has done this morning, may suggest the type of intelligence at his disposal, but it's far deeper than that.
Okay. It's far deeper than that was just about as much as I was able to hear you say. Please, can you just put me back on your last two statements? I didn't quite get them.
Yeah, I was saying that, yes, the killings on the Plateau might have the semblance of ethnic cleansing, but in truth, it is far deeper than that, because the criminal gangs on the Plateau are trying to exterminate the population so that they can have access to their lands, which have huge mineral deposits. And then their sponsors can now unveil the next strategy of mining, and that this is empirically supported by the rising of mining tradition on the Plateau, because mining has now resumed in Plateau in full scale. The government even had to ban it. So if the governor is looking only at ethnic cleansing, he's trying to miss the point. It's far deeper than that.
Oh, okay. Well, we have also noticed that in Nigeria, every time there's an election cycle, every time there's going to be, like these off-season elections, even the main ones, troops are deployed, soldiers are deployed, policemen are deployed onto the states where these elections are taking place. Raising the question, how come then when killings start and seem to be ongoing in a particular locality, how come the same energy is not being deployed? Why don't we see troops deployed, soldiers deployed, all of them being deployed the time it's kicking off and it's coming out in the news? Have you noticed there's a disconnect between the way our priorities are going for security?
Well, the Nigerian state had at no time pretended that it is committed, or she's committed, to providing security to its citizens. Let us not just pretend about it. The Nigerian state had been so hypocritical and giving lip services most times even though there are instances of deliberate attempts by our military and then the security services to deal with this criminality, but the political will is not there. And aligning it with elections is to further distract the attention of the citizens from holding the government accountable for their inability to provide security. At what point in time had they provided security that we can now say, oh, it's because elections have come in? All these killings had been on, even in other places and including Plateau State, since the inception of this government. It was just in the past 5 or 6 months that our people witnessed some respite. But this is to now characterized by this wholesome carnage that we have witnessed. So I don't think the whole thing is about elections. It's just that the failed politicians are trying to distract by offering explanation to that failure by insinuating that it is politics. I heard some politicians saying that the killing on the Plateau is politically motivated. It is not. The killings on the Plateau is not politically motivated. It has nothing to do with politics. The criminals in the bush that has taken over 64 villages have nothing to do with any political identity. Their identity is criminality. They are interested in killing people, sacking the people from their ancestral homes, taking over these places so that the exploitation of rich mineral resources can take place. This is just what is happening. So our people should stop this blame game of attributing politics. It's not politics at all.
Right. We also have, a similar situation going on in Benue State. As a matter of fact, Benue preceded that of Plateau. It was also the same, should I say, inertia, slow response and all that. It came to a point that the people in Plateau State, especially in Benue State, especially the youths, came out on the streets to demonstrate. Now, do you think that is one way for Nigerians to register their displeasure? Or what do we do to make the government know, look, you're not acting fast enough and you're not acting hard enough?
When you have a non-performing tyranny in place as leadership, it is going to be intolerant to opinions. And so, even coming out to demonstrate, you will discover that even though they may have no security to fight the criminals, they will be able to have enough security to fight the youths, shoot and kill them. So we are dealing with a failed state that is nurturing an emerging tyranny that does not tolerate any alternative opinion. All that they expected every Nigerian to do is to go and wear a cap, the Imiloko cap, and begin to sing hallelujah even in churches.
God.
We should be singing Tinubu. So I do not think that coming out to protest against this government by the youth will make them hear. No, they know what is happening more than even the people. The government have correct statistics of those who are killed in Plateau. They have sufficient statistics of those who are killed in Benue. But because there is no political will to deal with the situation, what I would think that is political about what they are doing is that the government is allowing the criminals to displace people so that they can take electoral advantage in 2027. So you will have so many places where the people, the population has been dispersed by criminals, but politicians will go there and write results. They will sit under mango trees and write results on behalf of the people so that they can return themselves to power. To that extent, I can agree that yes, there is a convergence between the interests of this failed political leadership and the criminals. But what the youth did, I will encourage them to do that more than only demonstrating. the people should come out and face these criminals. When we were attacked between 2001 and 2005, the Tarong people of Langtang North and South, we had no arms. The government was not giving us any protection. They were giving this type of lip services. And we took a decision that, look, these people coming to kill us, they have blood running their veins. So when they are coming, let's all of us go out so that they can kill us. And we discovered that when we move the whole community and roll out, they get scared and run. And that emboldened us now to begin to fight back. And ultimately, we started defeating them. So the power of number is greater than any arm. So what I will encourage the people to do is, look, whether you run, they will kill you. So the people should learn to mobilize and come out and face them. How many will they kill? And overrun them. This is my advice. But that they will demonstrate for the government to hear. Which government? This government hates to hear the word protest. In fact, if you are in church and you mention protest, JSS will pick you up. This government is a tyranny that does not tolerate any alternative opinion. So in my own appeal to native communities is that do not run. Mobilize your people. Take women and children to safe places. The youth, young men and women who are ready to die for that, come out and confront these cowards, and you see what they will do. They will not run away. We did that and we succeeded.
Right. You mentioned something very striking. It struck me to my bone. You said that every time the security apparatus is unable to muster up enough to catch the criminals, the herdsmen, the terrorists, the killers, the kidnappers, the same security apparatus is well able to muster up enough to kill, to arrest, to pick up the youths who are protesting. We saw a horrible picture of that where hundreds of underage teenagers were picked up, locked up, and forgotten for many months in prison just for participating in a rally against hunger, rally against bad government. And up till now, the tribunal that's supposed to be sitting and giving out who picked them up, nothing has been said. So that's struck a chord. But now, Honorable Minister, sir, I want us to think proactively, which you have already started doing. You said categorically, one, youths, go out and confront them. That's one. But some other people are making this suggestion. Do you think community policing, state police particularly, will be one of the solutions that Nigeria should adopt?
Well, Nigeria is long overdue for state police. All over the world where our leaders, their children are schooling and their families are living, there are state police, there are even local policemen. That is city police or municipal police, right, all over the world. Mm-hmm. So policing is a security administration that involves the people who have basic knowledge of the community in question. And so it is analog to continue to promote this idea of national police, because they cannot deal with the complexity, contemporary complexity and reality of the situation. But people who grew up with that within the environment knew the environment better than anybody. They know the culture of the people. They know their sensibilities. They know their reaction to issues. They know the culture of the criminal culture, so they can deal with it better. So we have long been overdue for state police. But why it is an unpopular concept is that we have no political leadership that is determined to give Nigerian good governance. So they will not accept state police. This current political leadership will not accept electoral reforms because state police will reinforce credible electoral process. It will even lead to technology driving elections. So they hate to hear state police because it is going to be used to stop electoral fraud and rigging. Therefore, they are not interested in it. They are not interested in anything that will protect the common man. Even their economic policies now is to unlive Nigerians. And they're not bothered about it. The president said in his presidential chat that he has no regret whatsoever about his economic policy that is killing Nigerians. And if the president has said that, it is the official policy of the government. So this government can only roll, they have the soldiers and the police to kill protesters, those ones they have it. They have the police and soldiers to protect them and their families, they have it. Anything that is going to bring positive reforms to protect Nigerians, to bring development, they will not accept it. So community policing and state police is anti this government, and they are not going to accept it because you want them to conduct free and fair elections and they will lose their seats. Then who will be enjoying these Airbuses that they are buying, the Cadillacs, the houses they have renovated, the yachts they have bought for themselves, and all the SUVs? You want them to abandon it? They will not do it.
Well, you see, those are the advantages of state police. But, you know, there's the other side of it, which is making a lot of Nigerians afraid. And that is the fact that the governors are leading their states like overlords. They have more or less pocketed the legislative arm. The houses of assembly are in the pockets of the governors. The judiciary, oh, come on, they've pocketed that on the other side pocket. So with that kind of setting for governors, people are scared that with state police, nobody will utter a word. All the opposition will be killed in election. Anybody saying, oh, Mr. Governor, you have not built the road that you appropriated money for, oh, boom, you're gone. Because the governor will now change it into a personal vendetta army and say, go after that one, go after Solomon DeLong, he's opposing me. Go after that lady in the studio, she's exposing my... You know, those are the fears people have about state police. Do you think that's a valid fear? How do we get out of that if we want state police to be a reality?
It's genuine, but a misplaced fear. Because today we have no state police. Nobody can utter a word. In fact, pastors now and imams in their churches and mosques, they must make sure that in whatever gospel or dawah, they do not say anything that the church will be closed down. This intolerant tyranny that we have in place can declare state of emergency against religion. And once the president declares it, whether he has constitutional backing or not, we have a legislature that even before the president could finish saying that I've declared state of emergency, they will go and say the ayes have it. This same legislature that we are having, the president is like a grandfather with his children. Immediately they see him coming with budget, they will be so excited the Nigerians, because, oh, he's bringing biscuit for them from the supermarket. They will start singing, on your dollar we shall stand.
Oh my goodness.
On your dollar we shall stand. On your dollar, Tinubu, on your dollar, Tinubu, on your dollar we shall stand. With this type of situation, who do you place the blame now?
Good.
The governors and the president are not different. With or without state police are Nigerians free. Showore was on the street on Monday. If you see the security, I joined him, but I was not feeling too fine, so I couldn't stay long. If you see the security they roll out, could herders, criminals, bandits killed close to 100 people in Plateau, if we have such security, if we have such weapons. So those weapons are only used to protect the politicians. We are in a very terrible mess. Nigeria has entered one chance.
Oh. Honorable Minister, sir, you touched on something that's quite germane as well. You said something about the economic policies. And, you know, that's another thing. Can we get to the root of this to say that, look, Nigerians are being impoverished. So is poverty, you know, lack of economic stability also fueling all this criminality and this killing, this carnage? Does that have anything to do with it? Or just wickedness and desire to grab the other person's mineral resources? What is it about?
You see, the killings that is going on is the political economy of bad governance. You see, Nigerians, the Nigerian political leadership has weaponized poverty. Apart from these killings, prostitution is going on at high level in Nigeria. In fact, one pathetic situation which I met, a woman has nothing to eat, and she was asking her female children to go out and look for men who could sleep with them so that they would give them money to eat. It's as bad as that. Some people have committed suicide and died and abandoned the farm. Some have gone into exile. So there is nothing the weaponization of hunger and poverty cannot do to a people. But if you look at the lifestyle and the way the politicians live, they live very big and lavishly. They drive expensive SUVs. They fly Airbuses. They ride on yachts, on high seas in Europe and America. Their children are not here. So this could only fit the dictionary definition or encyclopedia definition of wickedness. We have in place an unpatriotic and a callous political class that is in power and thinks more of itself. People as a mere population to declare results, return themselves to power, and then continue to unleash hunger, poverty on the people. Nigerians have never had it this bad. Of the over 6 decades of my existence in this country, I have never seen it bad and terrible like this. It is too difficult for the Nigerian population.
So, we want to look at that aspect you said of political will. We have a state of emergency declared in Rivers State, wherein all the elected officials were removed. The governor, the deputy governor, and all elected members of the House of Assembly, and replaced by a sole administrator who is actually a military personnel. And the issue there was an impasse between the executive and the legislative, resulting in the governor knocking down the State House of Assembly. People are now wondering if that was a threshold enough to declare state of emergency there. Why is a state of emergency then not being declared in BENUE? Why is a state of emergency not being declared in Plateau? Do you also wonder why?
I would not be surprised if the president returned from his working visit in France which he led for France, and the president of France has also led France for Egypt. I will not be surprised if he returns and declares state of emergency against Kaftan Television, and the National Assembly, in less than 2 seconds, the Senate president will just call his wife and children, and they will gather, and he will say, I don't want us to discuss anything that has any meaning at all. What happened in Rivers is not a reflection of any of our laws. It's strange to our constitution. So we keep promoting it, and by this sustaining this narrative. The Supreme Court had, in many cases, stated the law that the president has no power under Section 305 to remove a governor or the state assembly. It's tried law, but because we are dealing with tyranny, there is no rule of law rather than the rule of impunity. It is also very clear in the Constitution that even if, when the conditions under Section 305 are right, the National Assembly shall rectify the resolution or the proposal of the president contained in the proclamation within 48 hours. The meaning of the Constitution, the intendment of the Constitution given 48 hours, is that every member of the National Assembly must participate in a debate and make his position known. And that has been the practice. Every member present. And those present, the Constitution said they must be 2/3 of the number of the entire membership. So unless you have 2/3, you cannot even convocate a National Assembly to discuss the rectification of a proclamation of state of emergency. There was no 2/3 on the floor. They were not even up to 1/3 that gathered in the National Assembly. And all that they did was, the veranda boys presiding over the session were so hostile, they were so
Right. Well, that's been our discussion with the former Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Solomon Dalong, who is actually an indigene of Plateau State, even though a resident of the Federal Capital Territory. And our discussion focus this morning is on the Plateau massacre, as well as general insecurity, the pockets that are springing up and that are actually very deadly, and also political trends. We're still talking, we're still on, so you want to stay right by your television set, because after a while we'll also open the telephone numbers. All right, Honorable Minister, sir, I've got to ask you this question. Well, you were a minister during the Muhammadu Buhari administration, yeah? And there was a horrible spate of killings in Kaduna State, specifically southern Kaduna. It was so awful that every Sunday, literally, people would go to church shivering because they wouldn't know if they were going to come back alive after saying the grace. This has actually gone down now, yeah? How come you didn't speak out that time about that level of killing?
Well, I was in government, and what I was expected to do was to make sure that the government rise up to its responsibility. And to the best of my knowledge, I did that. The soldiers that were deployed to Kaduna was as a result of the pressure we mounted on the president. Even when the killings on the Plateau were going on, I made sure that regularly I visit the service chiefs and the police inspector general to update them about what is happening and why have they not been doing much, because that is what I'm expected to do at that point, not to be lamenting, because I'm within the reach of power. It should be used positively. And I do know that there was a time that in one of the killings in Kaduna, I had to confront the president, and he said, oh, the intelligence was not. I told him, look, this is the update I have about what is happening. We sent troops to southern Kaduna, and much is not happening there. So I did my best. I even mobilized when the church on the platform, me, just like you've done now, of not doing much by telling the president. I told them, okay, maybe my own language of communication to the president is not making an impact. Will you be able? I said, maybe my own communication to the president is not yielding enough impact. Can I get an appointment for you so that these things you are telling me here in the church, you can tell the president? And the president of course said yes. And I asked him, he mobilized 45 members of the General Church Council. I got an appointment with the president. The church came, I led them to the president. They repeated what they said, their allegations about the government and how they felt the government has not been doing much to protect the Christians. And the president listened. So I did my best while in office to make sure that what I am expected to do while I am within is, to mobilize the government to act, not to be lamenting. But if I am not within reach, my job is to raise an alarm.
Right.
And it's the alarm I've been raising.
Okay. Right. That's very good to know that you are not deploying table manners, as they call it in politics. Let's just do our table manners and continue eating while our people are suffering. Okay, we've cleared the air on that. Now, I want to ask you something else. Now, as it is, like you said, there's no political will for state police. So state police is not on the horizon. Killers are on the horizon, killing people regularly. So another school of thought has it that should Nigerians now be allowed to take their own arms? Can we now have our own guns and protect ourselves? Do you think that will be a way out? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, it's like the audio. Well, this is technology.
Yes,
right.
I heard you. Yes,
right.
I heard you. I think it is about time that the National Assembly should pass a law allowing Nigerians to bear arms. Everybody should defend himself, because the Nigerian state is unwilling to protect lives and property. We cannot be a community that every day we lament the killings of citizens in hundreds every day. It's unacceptable. It's wicked, it's callous, and you can deploy any concept. So time has come that every Nigerian should be allowed to bear arms to defend himself, since the state cannot protect everybody. Then, if the state is saying, oh, okay, Nigerians should not bear arms, then the state must live up to its responsibilities, acquire modern equipment, deploy technology, and deal with this criminality. Let me assure you, the Nigerian security that I know, given the political will, it will just take them 2 weeks to flush these criminals from all the forests of Nigeria. Put the political will, get the necessary equipment, flush all these criminals out of this forest. But the political class are not willing. These politicians are not willing for peace. and unity to exist, because they are not ready, they are not prepared, they are not committed to develop Nigeria. They are only committed in sending their children to school outside. They are committed to medical tourism. They are committed to travel to France to reflect on how their government is performing or not. They are committed in having vacation outside the country. It's so sad that a sitting senator whose wife will die and the wife will be buried in the US, and Nigerians of his kind and type will gather there for condolences and money. But he's a Nigerian senator. So this is the reality of what the Nigerian political scene is offering Nigerians. Therefore, if the state, as they are unwilling to protect Nigerians, the National Assembly should, at the next available session, amend the Constitution, since they can amend, they can pass proclamation of state of emergency with a voice vote. With a voice vote, they should pass a law.
Oh, a bit of technicalities there, but what will happen? Let's have the phone numbers up on the screen, and you can call in. You can react to some of the statements. Yeah, that's the number right up there. You can quickly send your calls in. Mind you, you have to just turn down the volume on your television set. Your name, where you're calling from, and straight to the point, or else I might have to cut you, because you know we're also having the interview segment live as well at this moment. All right, let's get back to the Honorable Minister. If Mr. Technology will allow us. All right, let's see. You can call in. In the meantime, we're still trying to get on with the minister. In the meantime, we have our first caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Lost that one. Keep trying. The numbers are there on your screen. We're here for you. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir. You're our first caller. Good morning.
I'm coming from Plateau State.
Beautiful. What's your name?
My name is Monday Adomantu.
You're live.
The Honorable Minister is not straightforward on what he's saying. And it's not sincere. That is my contribution. Thank you.
You haven't said why now. You have to tell us why. Whoa. All right, keep those calls coming in. Right. Good morning. You're our next caller.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're live.
Oh, shit.
You're live. Go ahead.
You're not talking bad. I can't hear you.
Just keep talking.
Let me call back.
Just talk. Okay. Yeah, the network is dropping calls, so we can hear him. He can't hear us. Just try and call back. Let's see if I'll be third time lucky. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Right.
Okay, my name is Comrade Omo Williams Uchechuku. I'm actually calling from Abuja.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I want to say is this issue of Plateau killing, right? I read about it sometimes ago when I was in university, like years back. And this thing is still happening up till now. Now, can we say that our leaders have failed, or the country itself have failed the citizens? That is number one. See, our senators, our leaders, our National Assembly leaders, does it mean that there's nothing they can do except flying around the countries and I don't know if I should continue calling them security men or men of uniform. Does it mean that all this killing after how many years till now, does it mean that there is nothing they can do? Because we are reducing, we Africans, we are reducing our population, we are reducing our able men every day because our leaders don't want to do anything, and we ourselves, I don't even think we are ready to do much. So, okay, if you come to some villages, let me use some villages, some rural.
Yes.
It seems like nothing like leadership in that environment. Like they were allowed to rule themselves the way they want, and when after all these things, they will be the one that one of them will be elected to that position. They will continue their life like that, unruled, unguided.
Right.
Nothing like leadership around.
Yeah, what we say in Nigeria, there is no government. All right, we've been able to rejoin the Honorable Minister. You're welcome. Sorry, this is all part of technology, but it's a pleasure to have you right back as we wind down on the program. Now, we're wondering, how is it that Nigeria is sliding, as you say, so much into dictatorship? Why is it that a dissenting voice is not allowed in a democracy?
It's the collapse of internal democracy.
The collapse of internal democracy?
Yes, internal democracy is the foundation of democracy itself. You see, within the political parties, it offers opportunity for the best to present themselves, and they are chosen within. Now, the best within the party will compete at the larger political space, and the best is elected to rule. So, what we have now in place? What we have in place is that we have political leaders who have destroyed internal democracy. So they appoint their relations, their friends, their committee of friends, committee of concubines, business associates, as they nominate them to contest election. So a person contesting the office of governor is also interested in who becomes a member of the House of Assembly. The president is interested in who becomes the member of the National Assembly. The reason is simple. They want zombies, yes men, to be assembled so that once they rig themselves into these offices, they will be able to control them. So the governor and the National Assembly is a master-servant relationship. The president and the National Assembly, or the governor and the State Assembly, is a master-servant relationship. The president and the National Assembly is master-servant relationship. That is why when they see the president coming to present budget or the governor coming to present budget, they are so excited. I mean, the legislature is supposed to be a check and balance on the executive. They are even supposed to invite
Right, it's like we're having some issues with network, but we'll sort that out in just a minute. But keep those calls coming in. So once he's back, he'll be in a position to hear what you are saying. Right, we have another caller on the line. Morning, caller.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, Beth. Azov Graf, what's my name from Aruju. Good morning.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah. You see, what I want to find out, or what I want Nigerians to know, we have 3 stages in Nigeria in terms of judiciary: the magistrate, the high court, the second, the Google to Supreme Court. Now, I see no reason where a court of public and general decision are giving a judgment that has to do with a party, and only one individual sat down there and said that one is their own. Now, are we moving in a country that only one person or one group of people will sit down and decide what they want the country to be? You see, that is why anytime I tell people, I say, look, go to America, go to Canada and see how they are running the system.
Right.
Everything, everybody says, no, what is wrong with us now? Please, let us keep judiciary is justice.
Right.
Party and people whosoever is government stick to the rule. If they say go,
Thank you, Mazi Okoro, for... Right. Mazi, Honorable Minister, sir, Mazi is saying that one of the problems he's facing in Nigeria, that all Nigerians are facing, is the court, the judiciary arm. So, and it's even a question that bugs me. How come that a court of like, what, 13 people can determine an outcome of an election? How come they don't call for cancellation when they find irregularities? Sometimes it boggles me. Because if so many, there are millions of people in that place, they bring the matter to court. If there are discrepancies, why don't they cancel the election outright and then tell us to go for a rerun? Why do they say, oh, now such a person is a person, and the person gets sworn in? Like he said, only one person's voice. What do you make of that?
We are practicing kakistocracy.
Oh.
Yes, kakistocracy is a government of incompetent people. You can Google it, or you can ask AI, it will help you. It's a system of government. That is the type we are practicing in Nigeria. Now, under kakistocracy, intellectuals have no place. Knowledge has no place. Positive values have no place. Justice have no place. The rule of law has no place. We are governed by the whims and caprices of veiled men. That took us to this question. Under the 1999 Constitution, the judiciary is empowered to adjudicate on issues. The judiciary has no power to replace the power of the bar, because the same Constitution provides they can only be gotten through the power of the bar under a periodic tenure. But what we have happening today is because of endemic corruption that has eaten deep into the roots of our social fabric. We set the power of election. In the last judgment of the Supreme Court in the presidential election, the Supreme Court endorsed the irregularity of independent National Electoral Commission, which means that INEC is where Nigerians are supposed to go and campaign, not the people. Because whatever INEC says is law, according to that judgment. INEC in 2023 mobilized Nigerians that the election was going to be innovated by technology. Nigerians became very confident and mobilized. Nigerians from even outside the country travel home just to vote, so that they can vote a government for the future. Nigerians actually voted, but INEC, while collating the results, dumped technology and embarked on a safe voyage of declaring a winner in the night, even after INEC has adjourned collation of results to 10 a.m. in the morning. By 4 a.m. in the night, they declared a winner. And the man who declared the results was also saying, please don't fight. Anybody who is disagreeing with me, go to court. And I've said it, that there is an East African adage that says, when a thief tells you to go to court, he is sure that the judge is his brother. But Nigerians allow INEC to get away with it. They went to court, and the court endorsed the illegality of INEC. So we are dealing with kakistocracy. We are not dealing with democracy. So don't be talking about the judiciary. Don't be talking about our military. Somebody used the right word, men in uniform. Don't be talking about the legislature. No. Kakistocracy is a government of incompetent people. So don't talk anything that are not positive values under that system. That is the system of government in practice in Nigeria.
So what will Nigerians do right now to how are we gonna get ourselves at least some breather, some measure of security for ourselves, some measure of sanity? What do we do now?
Nigerians must realize that all these divisions using ethnicity, using religion, is just the devices of these failed political leaders to divide the people and rule them. They must bury their differences. There is no Igbo man hunger. There is no Christian poverty. There is no northern sufferings. Nigerians are all into it. And then the enjoyment, the lavishing that is going on between the political class, they don't know Islam, they don't know Christianity, they don't know religion. When you see them fighting in the National Assembly, when they were fighting to silence the voice of that powerful woman who was trying to expose them, they were not talking Yoruba. They were not talking Hausa. They were not talking Fulani. They are not talking Islam. All of them agreed because they are sharing dollars. They ganged up to shut this woman out because she was going to expose them. Nigerians must use
Senator Natasha Poti? You're talking about Senator Natasha Poti?
Yes, my senator. She's representing the Nigerian state. That's the senator representing Nigeria. Every Nigerian is represented by Natasha. They shut that voice. If you look at the way they were ganging up, do you see anybody say they are resembling Igbo? Did you see any Hausa man there? Did you see any Christianity there? Did you see Islam? Did you see North or South there? No. So why must Nigerians be stupid to allow themselves to be divided by religion? We must come together and get this people out of this place. Otherwise, we will all be destroyed. We either come together and survive as a people, or we collectively die as fools.
We either come together in unity to survive as a people, or collectively we will be destroyed. Very big takeaway there from a man who is an academic, he's an author, he's a barrister at law, he's a human rights crusader. He has sat in the executive position as Nigeria's Honorable Minister for Sports Development, Minister for Youth. Then the ministry was combined. It's now only Ministry for Sports. It's been a pleasure speaking this morning to Barrister Solomon Dalong. We've taken away a whole lot from you. Thank you very much for waking up this morning to grace our screens on Kaftan Television. The program time is winding fast down, so I can only appreciate you, wish you a very good day, and we'll ensure we implement those that are implementable amongst what you have given us this morning. God bless. Thank you very much. Right.
Thank you very much. And I also encourage Nigerians to remain united and remain focused.
Right. Remain united, remain focused. We have Godwin. You're our last caller this morning. Let's hear you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling from Imo State.
Yes, go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Actually, I like the program.
God bless.
And also, the minister here just spoke my mind. So, I would like us to come out now to fight those idiots. Yes, we have to take power on our hands so that we can defeat those idiots. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoa, I was getting a bit worried so that NBC won't come and crash over us in the studio. Right. That's the last edition of the press this week, the last edition of the press on Kaftan Television. Join us again on Monday morning. We'll also have a loaded package for you. Right, I must thank our technical crew led by Mr. Bright Chukwueke is here and the others with him. Thank you very much for making this a success. Not forgetting to thank Mr. Felix for ensuring we not only are live, but we're streaming live. All right, keep faith with Kaftan Television. My name's Mickey Atta. I'm wishing you a beautiful weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye now.